Hey, this is Chance with Code, and this is the first API Parse talk. If you want to join Code, this is at the Co in Jackson, Tennessee, and this is the third Tuesday of every month that we have these talks. And so just wanted to record this so you'd have this for later, and hope you enjoy. Hope you learn a lot. So this is going to be more of an expert level on being able to parse API, and this is going to be using JavaScript with Json. So let's jump in and we'll go through a few examples. So first off, API stands for Application Program Interface. This is basically how we interface with other websites, other applications that we have online. And in this case, we're just going to be taking data in from the API and doing something with that data. So we're going to be using JSON as the data type, and this is basically what the browser sees when you do an API call. And I'll show you what an API call looks like here in just a second, but it's just an array. You can see that first flat bracket, and then inside is an object. So it's an object array of data in this case, and in this case I'm looking at sales data. And so we have the date, we have the artwork that was sold, and then the quantity of 1, and then it goes on to the next cell. So the next item sold was on the 20th of December, and it was a Big Bend National Park, and goes on and on and on. So this is a very small snippet of that API call, but at least you get the idea that it's cell after cell after cell, and it lets us know what artworks are sold, and then we can do something with that, and we'll do that in a little bit. So what can we do with this data? How do we get it, and how do we start messing with it? So we can do this with vanilla JavaScript. We're going to use the framework, a JavaScript framework called Jquery, and with this I've got an app.js file created, and I'm just going to pull in this data. And if you want to see what this getJSON function here looks like, basically creating a variable, getting the JSON data. I'm actually pulling in from the GitHub's API and pulling in my user data, and then once it's returned, that has the argument of the data that's getting pulled in, so JSON, and then I'm storing that into my global variable user data. So let's give this a shot. So if I can copy this, nope, I can't. So yeah, let's give it a try and see what's going on here. So I'm going to jump back. I'm going to grab this snippet here, and then we're going to move over here. So if you look and see at jQuery's getJSON, you can see everything that's possible. We're just going to be using that same implementation I just showed you of using the data that's getting returned from the JSON call. And so let's actually just use the console from jQuery.com, and I'm just going to go to inspect. I'm going to, let's branch this off. That's a little foretelling there. So let's, yeah, there we go. I'm just going to switch to the console tab, and now we've got a big console in the browser using just kind of what's native here. We do need jQuery, so that's why I'm on jQuery.com, just to have that function available. So I'm going to paste. I've got my user data variable, calling in the jQuery function of getJSON. So with that method, we have my user data. So let's switch really quickly to APIs that are available. So I found this Git repo by Todd Moto, his public APIs repo, and he's got a list of a lot of repos you can play with. So if I jump down to development, I'm using the GitHub user data. And so if I click that, I can see what this looks like. So you can basically just change your username in this, and then this is what the data looks like. So we're going to start parsing this and make something, just separate these values out a little bit. So going to hit return, and then we have the object ready to go. So we have ready state on this object, and we're going to see what user data has in it. Great, we've got an object, and it has all the data inside. If I open it up, you can see every element here. So at the bottom, I'm going to see if I can get what's the login? Is that what that was? Login, okay, yeah, so we'll do user data login, and that returns my username. And so if I do user data public, yeah, so we can do public repos or public GIST, that's fine, GIST, sorry. I have 23 GIST, and then we can do repos, and I have 27. So let's build a sentence here. So I'll just do console log, and we're going to do backticks for ES 2015. And so GitHub user, and then we'll do a template variable here of user data public, login. So get user Chance Smith has, do backticks again. Nope, that's not right. User data dot public. I'm going to do repos. So he has so many repos, and I'm just going to copy this and gist in. I don't even know if they know if I'm male or female. They're not displaying that here, at least. I could do name instead, actually. Anyways, so we'll just wrap this up in account. So if I hit return, GIST user Chance Smith has 27 repos and 23 gists in account. So I was able to take in the data that was presented to us with the API, and then I was able to put it into a sentence. So I could use this data in some way. So some ways you could do this is store this data so you could use it later, not this specific data, but other data like weather, or maybe a collection of sports statistics or something like that. So before APIs, before we had this organized data, you would have to go to a website and scrape the data that was there. You'd have to go into the elements, the H1s, and basically the DOM, and grab all the data. In this case, with sites that have a public API available, these are how we can collect data and do something fun with it. Either create a better profile than GitHub shows, or maybe collect and show how many repos he has over time. Or again, it could be weather data, and you could be a better meteorologist. So with that said, let's move on to a example of for a real person, real customer. So I'm going to jump over to a project I've got, and it's actually a public repo as an example, and I've got work in progress as my repo folder. I'm going to jump into sales, sort sales data, and then let's open that up. So I stored an example of sales data that we saw earlier, and this shows the artwork name and the quantity of how many of these artworks were sold in a specific cell. So in the index here, I'm using Bootstrap to display all this. I'm even using data tables to organize and be able to sort this data for the user. And then I'm, with the code, just basically sorting and organizing the data in a way that is going to be helpful. So instead of seeing just all the entries, let's do something that's going to be helpful. So the first thing I do is calculate the artworks that were pulled in. So I've already done my Ajax call, get JSON. I get the file and I store that into my list. And so with the calculate artwork totals, I first want to grab the, well, let's show you what it looks like first. So if I jump over to, I think I just had it up. Maybe that's right. Let me jump into terminal, cd work, sales, and HTTP server. Yeah, well, I don't think that's the same. Maybe. Nope. Okay, so here we have basically what the page looks like. And I've got the artwork totals here showing a unique list, so there's no duplicates, and it's showing the total amount of times this item was sold. So this is very helpful, knowing what are our top selling items, and if we were to make more items like this, could we and should we? So this is giving us a good indicator of the items that are selling the most. So let's look and see what that looks like. So first thing I do when I'm calculating the totals is I grab a list of all the artworks, I make a unique list, so I'm removing all the duplicates, and then I jump through the unique list to then go through the entire sales data and compare if the artwork is the same, add the quantity of the cell to the unique list total, and then that way this unique list is what I'm presenting here on the left, and I'm just adding up these totals every time we see this name show up in the sales data. But then I just pump out my unique list back and I throw it into my totals quantity table. So that was just a way to be able to pull in data, do something that's helpful with it, and give the user something that they can have some actionable data. Also, we did do a month's top seller, and so we would first organize by all of the months and then find out what was the top selling item for that month. So that took a little bit more logic to pull that off, but it works. It's awesome, and you can see that it's even organized by the year and then month. So it's a great order in the date as well. So if you're looking to do more work with APIs, the first item here, as mentioned earlier, the public APIs gives you a nice list in this repo to be able to see what other things are possible. One cool thing, I'm not a person that's going to build anything with games, but is Deck of Cards API. And so here you can, I thought this was really interesting, I can draw a card from a deck. So I don't know what cards are left, but I know what cards they've pulled as if I was going to build a game. And so if I pull 2 cards from a new deck, and I know that's available because it says right here, so I can change the deck ID to new, and then it's going to return data to me saying the success moment was true, and the cards that were pulled were 2 cards, and so I've got an object array, and we can show the image of the card, so you already have being able to present a card to the user. We know what suit it is, we know the value of it, we have more images for this specific, so let's look at that image. And it shows you the card. It's amazing. And so with that, we've chosen 2 cards. And now in a 52 card deck, there are 50 remaining, and the ID of this deck is this guy right here. So let's change out here, and I'm going to pull 2 more cards. Again, we had 50 remaining. I'm going to do 2 more. Now we have 48. And I could start collecting all the cards that were used, maybe start doing some math, maybe someone plays War or Solitaire, and you can actually use this entire API to give you the cards you need and present the cards. You just have to come up with the logic of how your game's going to be played and what cards have been used and what haven't. And so at this point, we don't know what's left in the deck. I guess you could compare a list of cards that are not presented anyways. But if I draw 2 more, I can just roll through the deck each time, and because we've got this ID, I don't have to worry about the logic of the deck. I just have to worry about the logic of my game and maybe the interface, that the HUD, the heads-up display of what the score is or something like that. So I thought this was a really neat API. You need no code or no authorization to use it. You can just play with it all you want. It's pretty cool. The next API I found was the iTunes API, which you don't need a key for. So let's grab this guy, and you can actually do a search for iTunes artists. And so if I pull this in, let's say we do Adele. I think it's 2 L's, right? I can look at this data and see what it sends back. Yeah, so the results come back 50 results for Adele, and it gives artwork, images, collection, name, Adele. Oh, it even spell corrects it. Wow. Okay, so nice API here. And then the other thing I wanted to show you guys was Code Academy. So if you guys are interested in learning other APIs, here's a few that are available. You can use the Twitter API or Evernote or SoundCloud, and just depending on the language that you're interested in, Python, Ruby, JavaScript, there's at least a good variety of just getting started playing with other APIs and having a good source to learn more. So I hope this helps. If you guys have any questions, hit me up. I'm on Twitter at Chance_Smith, and enjoy your day. Keep coding. Bye.